Okay. What makes you a Muslim and me not?
That's a good question, I guess. So obviously there are reasons why I believe Islam is the truth.
But no, I'm asking,
Yeah.
what is Islam? Like, what is Islam that makes you one and me not?
Okay. So what makes me a Muslim, I guess, is the right thing to say. Would be my submission to God and my acceptance and or acknowledgement that there is a creator of the universe, and I am accountable to him. He gave me life. He's also going to give me death, and there is an afterlife. So in a nutshell, that's kind of a...
Okay. I've met many Christians who would say the exact same thing. Are Christians also Muslim?
No, but there's obviously more details to it. So we accept all the prophets, including Jesus, as a prophet of God. And the only difference between us and Christian would be that they reject Prophet Muhammad as a prophet of God.
And why do you believe Muhammad was a prophet of God?
Because of evidences, like in terms of his historical evidence, in terms of the scripture that he brought forth.
Okay,
So,
name one historical evidence, like be specific, that is the reason why you believe that Muhammad is a prophet of God.
Well, when I say historical evidence, like how we know about this man, like, anything, how do we know anything about any historical person is historical evidence for something to be true or false, right? So for him to be a prophet of God, so I would say, so the Quran itself is an evidence. Like the miraculous nature of the Quran is an evidence, and the fact that the Quran makes a claim that this is a prophet on whom the Quran was revealed.
So if a book claims that so and so is a prophet, does it always mean that so and so is a prophet?
There's a good chance that it is a book. So I would say at least it should have that claim. Like,
but I think you and I agree. I'm just pointing out a point of agreement that you and I think, agree that just because someone says, or even if it's recorded that someone says that they're a prophet of God, doesn't mean they're a prophet of God. Are we agreed?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so why do you believe Muhammad is a prophet of God? And it can't be just because a book says so, because we're agreed that just because a book says so doesn't make it so.
Okay, so let's consider well, there can be just one or two reasons. There's a combination of everything. Like, what leads me to believe that, first of all, God exists. Okay, so are we presupposing that are we presupposing in this conversation that Allah exists, right?
Well, we'll presuppose that a God exists. Yep.
The first few things that it would make a claim about is that it is a true book. It is from Allah, and the fact that it is revealed.
How did you figure out that it was a true book from Allah?
Okay, so that's a different discussion. We're talking about what do we expect from a book to at least claim these things, to make this claim that this is a book from God, right?
Well, claims are a dime a dozen. Like, there's many people who claim to be God himself. There's people alive today who claim to be God. Why do you believe that Muhammad is a prophet from God, and why do you believe that the Quran has anything to do with a God?
Okay, so we can look further into what the Quran claims. Okay. So in a nutshell, the claims of the Quran are logical, coherent, and it talks about the concept of God that is the most coherent, in my opinion, as compared to a Trinitarian God. Miracles.
I wrote a math paper that I got an A+ on. It was logical and coherent. Does that mean that math paper was from God?
No. So your math paper obviously does not make that claim, does it?
No, it didn't. But I thought we had already agreed that just because a book claims to be from God doesn't mean it is from God, right? Did we agree on that?
No. So the Quran is not just like a claim. Okay, this is from God, and everything else is empty. There's 6,236 verses in it, making claims about all sorts of things.
Right. So give me one thing I can sink my teeth into that we can maybe agree on is, this is more likely to be from a God.
Okay, so this is more likely to be from a God? I mean, what do you, I mean in terms of like, why do we accept the Quran to be a word of God? Is that what you're saying, or just one passage?
Yeah. Why do you specifically?
Okay, so evidences that show that this is a book that cannot be produced by anything natural in this world would be one of the reasons.
If you could,
And
if you did find a text that could reproduce the structure of the Quran, would you doubt then that the Quran's from the word of Allah?
yeah, so that's
You would.
one of the, yeah, that would be,
But he has asked a question in this video: are there these types of literary ring structures found in other texts? And he admits, yes, there is, and it predates the Quran. And he says these are brilliant ring structures, but they do exist. But since he's a Muslim, he'll also say, but nowhere to the extent as the Quran. So he's admitting that you can find brilliant works like this, but it's just not as voluminous. It's not as big as the Quran. So now, if this guy is speaking the truth, is that a good way of saying, oh, this is from a God because it's just a little bit bigger than something else that wasn't from God? A bunch of humans wrote the Quran, and it has nothing to do with God. Is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is more likely than a deity doing it. So, if I told you that I went in my backyard the other day and I was digging and I found this text, and it said in the text that that this is a book from God, and it's written beautifully, and the person who claims to have recited the words of God is coming from God through this person, through this prophet, and it's just a book I found. Now you come and visit me at my home. We sit down, we open this book, and we read this. Hey, this guy's claiming this is from God, and he's unlettered, he's illiterate. You and I would look at each other and say, nah, this is not from a God. And yet it's written beautifully. We'd say, nah, this is not from a God. Right? Are you and I the same?
yeah, I mean, in this scenario, yeah. But
yeah, and this is how I view the Quran.
okay, why is that? I mean, why do we view the Quran the same way, I guess?
Well,
because it's not the same claim. We didn't find the book in behind a.
I understand that, but we could even set this 1600 years ago or whatever and say, yeah, this is what happened to so and so. Why would you agree with me and say, nah, this is not from a God when it comes to a book in my backyard?
Yeah, I mean, if your claim is that you found it in a backyard, like the first thing I would ask you is, why do you believe it's from God?
I don't. You and I agreed it's not from God, but I'm asking you, why would you agree with me that it's not from God? Because it's just in my backyard? What if it was like I dug really deep and it goes back and it's carbon dated more than 1,000 years ago? Like there's archaeological digs all the time. Why do you agree with me that this is not from a God?
Because there is no human being making that claim, though. Like that.
No, in the text, it does make that claim.
No, but you are making that claim that this is from God.
No, I'm not. No.
So the difference here is that the Prophet Muhammad received the revelation, and he was the one who actually makes that claim that, I received the revelation, and here's the verses, the first few verses. And by the way, it wasn't revealed all at once. It was a period of like 23 years.
Right. So you and I, we find this book in my backyard. We open it up and it says, this is the revelation from the one and only true God. It was given to me by a prophet, an angel. I am his prophet, and thus saith the Lord. And then he goes on. I would say to myself, no, this has nothing to do with a God. And I think you agree with me, right?
Yeah, but who is the prophet in here? You or someone else?
Oh, we can call it Prophet Myron. No, it's not me.
Okay. So we got to go find Myron then and truly ask
this
him.
This is from a long time ago. Myron's dead.
Okay.
But my question is, why do you agree with me that this is probably not from God?
Why do I agree with you that because it's a very weak claim coming from, like, the evidence for it doesn't seem very, very strong, that, you just found a book in the backyard and no one knows about it except you.
But it goes back 1,000 years. We carbon dated it. What would it take for you to believe this is from God? that this book I found is from God? What would it take for you to say, oh, maybe it is from God?
Okay, so it has to, yeah, first of all, it has to make the claim that it is from God.
It does?
Yeah, and what are the other things mentioned in it? Does it have any contradictions? Does it say that God is infinite and also finite at the same time? So if there are logical contradictions in it, you can dismiss it.
Okay. There's no logical contradictions in it.
Okay, if there's any mistakes in it, or in the sense that any established data that we know of is false in it, then we can dismiss it.
Yeah, you and I look at it, we can't see any mistakes in it.
Okay.
Would you still, are you more confident now that it is from God after saying this?
Well, yeah, I would look further into it. Does it say that I have to follow it? What else does it say?
Yeah, it says that you have to follow it.
Okay.
It also says
that. Yeah, so I would cross-examine that with the other scriptures, I guess, and see which one has a stronger claim and stronger evidence for accepting. Does it tell me how to live my life? Is there any information in there that tells me about afterlife, life after death, so on and so forth? Anything that's relevant to my existence.
I can paint this hypothetical to be exactly the same as the Quran, except one thing. And it says in the book that that Islam is false and this religion is true. Now, everything else is the same. It's beautifully written. Any claim you want to make about Muhammad and the Prophet and the Quran, I can say the exact same thing about this book, except there's one difference, and it says that this is the true religion and Islam is false, Christianity is false. Let's say it was written just after Islam came about. So would you then say this is more likely from a God if it basically says that your religion's false?
No, so in this hypothetical, I would dismiss this new religion just by comparison. So what I have right now in terms of Islam is just much more stronger in terms of its testimonial evidence. So all the scholars that I've learned Islam from and their chain of scholarship going back to the Prophet Muhammad, all the documented proofs about his existence, his miracles. It's almost like
what miracle? Like that Muhammad did?
That God did. Yeah, I mean, obviously we believe that the actual power, or the causer of the miracle is God, not Prophet Muhammad.
Can you give me a specific example of a miracle?
Let's go with with him ascending to the heavens on the Buraq.
That's the winged horse, right?
Or you could call it a wing. It's not exactly a horse with wings, but it's a Buraq that looks similar to a horse, somewhere between a mule and a horse.
Okay, so you and I are friends, and we find a book, we open it up, and it says that a person flew up into the heavens on a winged animal. Are you? I would not believe it. Would you?
I would believe if it's the Buraq, yes, I say that Buraq does exist. Yeah,
but it's not in the Quran. We find this book that's not the Quran, and it says a person gets on an animal and it flies up into the heavens. You would believe it?
What else does it say about it? Like,
that's all we know yet.
That's hypothetical. There's a lot of things missing in it, so I have to keep asking, like, okay, who rode on the horse?
Okay,
if you're painting a picture exactly like the Quran, but the only thing missing is the messenger himself.
Can we go one step at a time? Like, I wouldn't believe it if that's all we knew. If we open up a book and it says that a person gets on a horse and it flies on a winged beast or whatever up to the heavens, I personally would not believe it. Would you? If that's all you knew?
So if you open up a book and the only sentence it has is that something flew to the
that's the only part we've read so far.
Okay.
Would you believe it?
I mean, I don't have any reasons to, like, I don't deny the possibility of so
would you believe it?
Let me answer the question. So we are working under the presupposition that God exists, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in a world where God exists, I accept that miracles can happen.
Okay, but would you believe that this is a miracle that happened in history?
I would say it's a possibility, yes, but I wouldn't say like I believe it to be true or something. No.
No, you wouldn't believe it, and neither would I.
No, I would say it's a possibility. Yes.
Yeah, I would say it's a possibility as long as it's not a logical contradiction. Almost
Right.
anything's possible, but
Right.
not everything's probable. So
Yes.
you and I we have something in common. We open up a book, and just because a book says that a man gets on a horse or a winged beast or whatever and flies in the heavens, you and I don't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, if that's, I mean, to isolate that incident and just say that this is the only thing in the book, and
What if
there's no claims around it, then it just doesn't make any sense.
And what if we flip the page, and on the next page it says that there are like several witnesses who saw this person get on the winged beast and flew up in the heavens? I personally still wouldn't believe it. How about you?
It depends on how much you trust these people, I guess.
Well, this happened long ago, and they're dead, so it's not like we can go ring them up and ask them about it. But I personally wouldn't believe it. How about you?
Like I said, if it's coming from an authentic source, so
we don't
I'll
know.
give you
We
one
don't know.
example.
We don't know anything yet, except what we've read so far, and that is that he flew up on a winged horse. And now we flip the page, and it talks about there being many witnesses to this. I personally wouldn't believe it. How about you?
Yeah, if you're the one who found that book and you tell me all these things about what's in the book.
No,
then,
you're with
you
me.
know,
We're friends. We found it. We
Right.
found it together. I still wouldn't believe it. How about you?
Yeah, if we found a book in the backyard and it says that a horse flew to the heavens, I guess. Yeah, there's no reason for me to believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're the same. Now,
Right.
now, here, this is getting a little tedious. I understand, but here's the point of this hypothetical. We can keep going for hours like this and take it one step at a time, one piece at a time. And I have a feeling that you and I would agree every time, no, we don't believe it. We don't believe it. We don't believe it. We don't believe it. But now I could be wrong about this, but I think in my experience with Christians, with Jews, and with Muslims, the exact same evidence placed in your own holy text, then you do believe it. And I think that's a problem.